If you're thinking about purchasing a Cricut or already have one and don't know how to use it to make vinyl labels, I want to show you all of the basic steps, including plugging your machine in, how to use it, and making a project along with you. So if that sounds interesting, let's get going. Hey everyone, my name is Sophie from Sophisticated Organization. Welcome to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. I have a love of all things Cricut. I have two different Cricut craft machines. I've made a previous video on the Cricut Joy. So if you want to learn all about the Cricut Joy, make sure to check the cards above and watch that video. But today we're gonna be talking about the Cricut Explore Air. I have the Explore Air 2 here. There is another version. It's actually quite similar to this one. But for this one, I want to tell you all of the basics, as well as how to make all of those vinyl decals that you see everywhere. Maybe you want to make a beautiful aesthetic pantry like I do, and some labels for home organization. I will show you how to do all of that. But first, let's talk about the Cricut in general. It is a craft machine, and it goes well beyond vinyl labels for home organizing. There are so many different applications. Some of the other basic ones is that it cuts paper, so you could make greeting cards. There are some additional tools that you can purchase for those things. You can make iron-ons, so if you want to customize some clothing. They sell so many different add-ons, but today I really want to focus on vinyl crafts. Now vinyl, there is permanent and semi-permanent or temporary vinyl, all different brands. Cricut makes their own. You can also find some on Amazon. I will link a bunch of different products in the description box if you are interested in purchasing some accessories, vinyl, some cutting mats, the machine itself. All of that will be in the description box, so make sure to check that out. And I will show you the different types of vinyl when we get there. But I think we should start with the machine and how it works. So this is the Cricut here. They come in a bunch of different colors. There are two plugs in the back. One will be your power cord, and another one will have an end that you can plug into your computer. I just have an adapter here for my MacBook. On the front of it, you'll see this open button. This is what you need to access all of the inside so you can start your cutting projects. It comes preloaded with a cutting blade here on the B side. You'll see you can even barely tell the blade is there. It's a very, very fine tip. You just need to stick it in there and load it. There's also a side, so you can put a pen in there if you're gonna be making a greeting card like I mentioned, or drawing on your writable vinyl maybe. The power button is located on the other side over here. There is a small little holder, as well as some other places here for you to store some craft tools and Cricut accessories. You could store some extra blades in here, some tools for helping you make your labels. And then over on this side of the Cricut, you will see a spin dial. I have it set to vinyl because that is what we are going to be doing today, but you'll see there's also paper, iron-on, light cardstock, bonded fabric, poster board, and custom. So custom, you'll be able to go into your Cricut Design Space, which is the app that Cricut has for all of your design purposes. No matter what project you're making, you'll be using Cricut Design Space, and you can customize and select the exact material there. So if, for example, you are making something on glitter vinyl and the vinyl setting isn't working for you, you can go to custom and select glitter vinyl through Cricut's app. So this is kind of the basics of the machine. It will move across as you cut, which you'll see in just a moment as I make a project along with you. Before we dive right into making a project, this is the Cricut Design Space. I have logged in. You will need to create your own login with an email address and a password. It is very simple to do, but once you have your own login, you can look and explore different projects that they have. You can see the recommended things. There are options that are both paid and free. So you'll see as you scroll through, sometimes there will be a price next to something and you can just purchase a project, print it straight from your Cricut Design Space, or you can always press new project here, which is on the top right. That's what I'm going to click, and it'll open up a blank slate for you. This is how I start most of my projects. You can, on the left-hand side, see all of the different options they have there. They have templates here. If you are going to make an iron-on, you can click on, let's say you are going to have a polo shirt. If you want to click on that, it'll help create a template that will guide you as to how large you should be making your font or whatever you want, so you can make your text on top of this. You can see there are shapes that you can add, images that you can add. Again, some of the images are free, some of them are paid. You can also add text. This is what I do to make vinyl labels a lot, especially for home organizing. But you can also import or upload images. So you can see I've made a first aid sign in the past. I've uploaded images of little drinks because I made a sign. You can upload any image and make it into a vinyl label. So if you've made an image through a different app or something, you can always upload it that way. The text is quite simple here. So what I'm going to do is say cooking oil. Now what I can do is I am under operation here at the top, making sure that I have a basic cut selected. These other options where it says draw, that's gonna be for the spot where I showed you on the machine that you can add a pen in there. You don't need that for basic vinyl labels. You're just gonna make sure it is on cut basic. Now, if you are going to use a different color other than black, click on that little black square there. There are material colors. This doesn't need to be exact. Oftentimes I'm mostly just doing black and white, but sometimes, let's say I'm doing gold, none of these really match. You can press advanced, and if I'm doing a gold, maybe it kind of looks like that, and I can select that. It'll just help the machine know what color it's cutting. So try and get it as accurate as you can, but not a big deal if it's not perfect because we're just cutting here. There are different options here as far as the fonts that you can use. You could import some from your computer. That's going to be under system. I have some favorites that I've downloaded onto my computer. They will be under the system part. If you want to browse some of Cricut's fonts, click on the Cricut tab up here at the top. You'll see you can download different fonts. There's quite a few that are at $4.99 price. You can use those and then keep those through your design space to use for future projects. I typically use free fonts or other fonts that I have downloaded in other places. You can save some as bookmarks, as you can tell on the right hand side there. You can save those. So I like this font. Other little details that you can do before you get to your cutting, you can change the font size up here at the top by going up or down. You can also, type in that number if I want it 90, let's say, or you can drag and expand and minimize that way. You can always see the size up at the top here where it says size. You can have the width and the height. You can adjust it that way. So if I am making this for a vinegar or oil bottle, I typically don't like those to be much more than 6. So maybe I want it 5.5 is the width that I want it. That looks maybe good to me. If I want to play around with the letter spacing and make the letters a lot closer together, I can do that. I can spread them back out. If I want to conserve my vinyl and not be wasteful, maybe I want to reduce the line spacing because I'm just gonna cut these and separate these two apart. I can make them really close together here. You can change the alignment. Lots of different things here. I'm actually going to make this one white here. And as an example, I do want to show you what it looks like when you upload an image too. I'm going to do this first aid one again. We can make this red just so I can show you what happens when you have a different color and when you have two different colors together. So maybe that's a better red. You can add as many things as you want in as many different colors as you want, and you'll see what happens when we get to the next stage where it's going to separate them out by material. So when I press make it here at the top right, it's gonna load here for a second, see how it says sorting projects into mats by color? That is the way that it knows the different colors that it's going to cut on. I am going to use a mat today. You'll see there can be a card mat, or if you're going to do multiple different ways for multiple projects or colors that you've selected here. We don't have that because I think the most basic way to do it is on a mat. There is a 12 by 12. That is this size that I have here. That fits a lot of standard Cricut paper that you can purchase. They are oftentimes in a 12 by 12 size. Other times you can buy them in a roll that is 12 inches by a certain number of feet, depending on how much you purchase. I like to buy the rolls and then cut them down into 12 by 12 sheets. If you're gonna be making a lot of really large projects, they also sell a 12 by 24 inch mat. So be cognizant of that, because sometimes if you have just the 12 by 12 size and you're really filling it out quite often and it goes even just a hair past 12, it forces you to have a larger mat. So just keep that in mind, but I'm going to use the 12 by 12 since I've barely selected any labels, and then just press continue. Once that screen loads, you can drag your images around however you want them, depending on the layout of your vinyl on your mat. So the mat that I was showing you is the standard grip mat. They have a light grip and a heavy duty grip. Standard grip is perfect for vinyl labels. I'm going to pull out one of my white sheets of vinyl since that's what we're starting with. And the vinyl that I have here is an Oracle 651. Again, I'll link this in the description box. This is my favorite vinyl. I like to say that permanent vinyl isn't even permanent. You can, if you want, because I get this question a lot, peel it off. If you grab like a razor blade or the edge of your fingernail, you should be able to peel it off, but it's a great option if for something that you want to last a long time. It's typically weatherproof. I've had success putting it in the dishwasher, top rack only if you are worried about it, but I even put it on the bottom rack and haven't had problems. So I'm gonna show you how I put this on here, and we will get to making the white labels first. So all you're gonna do here is line it up in the corner. I'm not printing the entire sheet, so it doesn't quite matter, but I'm going to line it up. You can lay it flat just with your hand here, or you could use a tool, but the hand works just fine. I am going to grab my cord here, plug this into my computer so it recognizes the device. I'm going to press the continue button. My machine is on, so you can load your paper in. And to load the paper in, all you're gonna do is line it up on either side here. There's some small markers that indicate where your mat is going to go. This is the load button or unload button, so I'm gonna press that, and you'll see it feeds through. The machine's just getting adjusted. It's now identified that my map is loaded. This is where we're gonna play around with the dial. I have it on custom now, so you can see on my computer screen that I have a couple of favorites, premium vinyl or glitter stock. I can browse all materials here and select which one I want to load. So if I am going to do vinyl or fabric, foam, all of these different options, iron-on that I mentioned, leather even, tons and tons of different things. But here we are under the vinyl section. I have premium vinyl as a favorite of mine, but you'll see that there's foil, matte, chalkboard vinyl, glitter vinyl like we talked about, glow in the dark, and it helps identify all of those different materials to give you the absolute best cut. I also have a lot of success with just plain vinyl, selecting on top here with my vinyl setting. That's a great easy way to do it if you don't want to deal with browsing around, or you can select that premium vinyl. Once you've selected your material, you'll notice that that C with the cute little antennae is blinking. That is your start button. You won't see anything on your computer that says start, so you're just going to press this button here and it will get to cutting. So you'll see the machine is kind of guiding you with what to do. So I'm going to press that button. It shoots it out just a little bit. I can grab the rest and then peel everything off of my mat. That's the way I like to do it. And then you can barely see how everything is, but you can see the cut lines. So sometimes I like to just cut it off of the rest of the sheet here that I'm not using. There are grid lines on the back, so I'm just gonna follow that with my scissors. You could also use a paper cutter if you want a really exact straight line, but it doesn't really matter. The next steps I want to show you and talk about a couple of different tools that are going to make it a whole lot easier. The next step is called weeding, which is where you're going to be pulling away the vinyl that you're not going to use. So I have a couple of tools here. The first one is a weeding tool. I don't know how well you can see that, but it looks almost like the little tool you have at the dentist where there's a point here, and that helps get into all of the small little fine areas and pull away the stuff that you don't want, like I said. I have another tool that's from Cricut itself. This is also a Cricut tool that I think is really handy if you are going to be using the Cricut for multiple different things, lots of different types of projects. It has 4 different tips that it comes with, and it has an interchangeable pen. So you can switch those tips without having to buy 4 different tools. I love this. It has a cutting tool, a couple of different weeding tools, a pinpoint tool there that are all very useful. There's also a little spatula tool that Cricut sells. They have a pack of a few different tools that come together, but this spatula can be helpful for getting things off of your label paper. They have some tweezers here that can help pick up little pieces or whatever you might need. And then I'm gonna show you the other tools as we keep going, but I'm going to start by pulling away all of the little pieces here. So you'll start to see the words appear. Now, a lot of times I like to just stick those pieces onto the vinyl there. I also have another tool that you can use to pull off the vinyl. You just draw it through and pull back, and it drops right off into this little bin. It's like a little Cricut garbage can. You can select a couple at a time and then drop them off in that little garbage can, however you want to do it. Some people also like to peel off the entire backing and then go in and get those little pieces. It's a little bit easier to see. Completely up to you and personal preference. If you go too fast like I just did, you'll see that a letter popped off. Sometimes I'll just stick that on the side here of my desk until I finish and my hands aren't full, and then I'll go back and stick that on there. If you look very carefully, you can see a slight imprint of where the letter was cut out. So I can easily lay that back on there. I could use my tweezer tool, or you can just use your fingers and it goes right back on. Then you'll need to pull out the rest of your lettering here. Almost done. And the other thing I would suggest if you are a newer Cricut user would be to try to avoid really, really delicate patterns or lettering. If you are new to this, it's just gonna make it a lot more difficult. I just in general try and avoid very, very delicate patterns and stuff or fonts, because it is just really tedious, time consuming, and can be very frustrating. A big bold font like this is a great place to start. So once you have just the lettering that you want, you are on to the next step, which is using some transfer tape. And the transfer paper is what you are going to put on top of this to transfer your letters onto your desired surface. So I kind of lay it on top here like this. Find generally about how far down I need to cut. So it's about to this section. I will cut across. And then you're going to peel the backing off of your transfer paper here. It will be clear. This is some of my favorite transfer tape, but there's lots and lots of different brands, different holds and strengths depending on what you're using. If you're using a glitter vinyl label, you're going to want to use a stronger hold. I'm then just using this Cricut tool here. You could use a credit card if you want to save a little bit of money. That works just the same. Really pressing down on my labels. And then you can cut them into individual labels here. So you'll see how I'm separating these out. And I have my 2 separate cooking oil labels. And then as you peel them off, because you push them down, they're going to stick on the transfer tape. And I'm going to show you how the next step works with the first aid label that I'm going to make on my red paper. I've pulled out my red vinyl now, and you'll see that I have the 2 separate mats here on the left-hand side of the screen. The first one is for the white that we just cut. The second one is for the red. You're gonna wanna make sure you have the second mat selected. Here's what it looks like if it's not selected. You want that lighter color there. The base material is still set to vinyl. I am going to take the red paper, put it onto my mat here, and I'm gonna show you an example. Since this has a little notch cut out of it already, I've used this vinyl before. I am going to press the edit button, grab my label, and make sure it's past that 1 mark, because this is where I'm missing some vinyl. Press done. I'm going to take this and load it into my machine and do as we did before. I'm gonna wait for that flashing C, press it, and it will get to cutting. So now that that one's done, I'm going to press this button one more time, peel it off. You guys probably know the drill at this point. I'm going to cut it out just so it's a little bit easier to manage. Get back to my weeding tool here. And this image is a little bit interesting. I think what I'm going to do is start by peeling the outside. And then there's a really thin little circle here that I'm gonna try and grab. Grab that off. And then I'm going to actually do the opposite that I did last time and weed away the lettering. This A is a little bit more difficult because that small spot in the middle I really want to stay. So I'm gonna peel it up and be really careful to make sure that middle section stays down. And then just a couple more letters, and I'm going to put transfer tape on this as well, just like I did with the last one. So I'm going to kind of measure it out so I'm not too wasteful, and see about how far across it goes. So I'm going to cut there as well till I have my little square. Peel this up if I can get to the corner, and then lay this on top. I'm actually going to put the line there right under my wording so I know it's going to be straight as I apply it onto my next surface. So press nice and hard with your tool here. Then I am going to pull the corner back at an angle here, and you'll see it's picking up absolutely everything because I used this tool with a nice firm pressure. If you are struggling, make sure you are using a good type of transfer tape for the material that you're using. There is such a thing as transfer tape that's too strong of a grip, so it won't actually release the lettering to your desired surface. I am going to put this onto a zipper pouch. I will also sometimes use alcohol wipes to wipe off if I have a really smooth surface. Just make sure it's nice and clean. If it's something I've used in the past, it gives me the best possible transfer. This surface is clean. I haven't used this bag before, so I am going to line it up where I want it. Try and get it as close to the center as I can here. Probably not an exact science, but that seems close enough to me. I'm gonna use that same tool and press again along my entire image. I'm just gonna go both directions to make sure I got it. And then at pretty much the same angle that I did before, see if I can get a corner up here. I'm going to slowly pull back. And if at any point you see your image peeling up, just use one finger and hold it down. But this looks like it is going to work just perfectly. So you'll see how it is all staying there on the zipper pouch. Honestly, feel free to reuse this transfer tape again if it's still sticky. Mine just kind of rolled up into itself here. But if you are going to immediately do another project, or let's say you're making a bunch of these, you can use this transfer tape a few times, so don't feel like you have to throw it away right away. But you'll see how this final product looks. It looks so professional, and I want you to think about all of the different projects that you can do beyond just basic home organizing, like pantry containers, because that's at least what I first think of. But there are so many things that you can customize and make, like this little first aid kit that we've now made together. I wanted this to be a very basic tutorial, kind of a Cricut vinyl label 101. If you are interested in a more advanced tutorial, whether it's more advanced with vinyl materials, using different types of vinyl materials, other settings you can use, weeding intricacies, other tips and tricks like that, please let me know and I can make a more advanced vinyl video, or I can always make another video on other types of projects and things that you can do and keep it as a very basic level, because I know it can be really intimidating when you first get your machine and you want to use it and you just don't know how. So hopefully this was helpful. If it was, please give this video a thumbs up. Again, let me know what else you want to see in the comments below. But until next time, I will see you guys later.